Good evening and welcome to the February 20th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for invocation and pledge allegiance. Tonight for our invocation, I just ask that you take a moment to offer your own intentions in silence. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilman Pittladani.
Here.
Councilman Aragosa.
Here.
Councilman Godlewski.
Here.
Councilwoman Rosbowski. Here. Supervisor Petzley.
Here, again, welcome. We do have an agenda up front. If you did not receive it, it's not a long agenda. We do not have anything to add to the agenda, so we'll go through our business and end with item number 13, which will be new business if there is any at that time. So I'll start on my left with item number 4, Town Council reports, and I'll start with Councilman Godlewski.
Just one thing that we may all talk about, but I just wanted to comment about what a wonderful experience this past Saturday was at our park-to-park trail walk. I was just talking to Councilwoman Worsbowski about it, and we're both fairly certain that we may be the only two that completed the whole loop to and from without cheating.
Oh, I can relate it.
You made it back, but I think there's a little cut-through area that a lot of people took advantage of that
And nobody said that was off limits. That's just being smart. You're just outsmarted, Councilman.
And there was actually a part where it was myself, Councilman Aragosa, and Councilwoman Worsbowski were the supervisor, just kind of took off ahead and abandoned us. So, but anyway, all in good fun. It was a great event and something that I think that we should certainly do next year. It gives great exposure to our parks, our trail system, and particularly on a night where we're voting to authorize some spending on Malwood Park. I think it's great to highlight what a wonderful asset our parks are. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Worsbowski.
I would echo Councilman Godlewski's comments. I had a really fun time. It was a great walk. I was really happy at the turnout. It was great. The weather was great. It was a little cold. Once you got moving, it didn't matter. And I'd like to make sure we thank Vicki Hillis and also our partners with the YMCA, who were also part of organizing that. They groom our trails pretty much every day in the parks, and they do a great job. And Greg Stevens does a fantastic job keeping things nice and ship-shape. And also Glenville Rotary for providing refreshments.
Great. Thank you. Councilman Pittladani.
I have no report this evening.
Councilman Aragosa.
I also attended on Saturday night, or Sunday. What, Saturday? Sunday? I get my days off.
Saturday.
They just keep going. They just keep going. But I donned my skis for part of it, walked part of it, and I hope to go back soon with my skis on again. It was nice. So thank you, Vicki, for getting it together, and thanks again to Greg Stevens, who really does a nice job trying to maintain that ski slope.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Vicki. It was a great event. Thank you to Jamie, the fire and all the folks here mentioned. I did double time it back very quickly because I like to walk fast in the trail. And we took the higher ridge.
So did we.
Oh, so I raised the trail.
No, you didn't.
And you had to go to the bathroom too, let's be honest.
If nature was calling and I was walking fast, get to my age, that's what happens. So, excellent, thank you all. So we'll move on to item number 5, which is a public hearing. That's the first item for business tonight. I'll open the public hearing. This is not privilege of the floor. Privilege of the floor is next, but this will be a public hearing to talk about anyone interested in the proposed local law to amend Chapter 255 of the Vehicle and Traffic Chapter of the Code of the Town of Glenville. I would have to lean on Councilman Pittladani to be exact as to what's being changed on that, but I believe it's a stop sign or a yield sign.
Stop sign on Bigwood, Bigwood and Rosemary Drive on the east entrance, and a stop sign on Nicholas Drive at Yolanda Drive on the east side, and then a yield sign on Belinda Drive at Nicholas Drive east.
So we'll open that public hearing to hear anyone interested in those potential stop signs and/or yield signs at those streets. Anyone interested in being heard on that public hearing? Going once, going twice, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. We now move to privilege of the floor. This is where anyone's interested in addressing the town board. We'll ask you to come to the podium, address the town board, and have your say on any town business whatsoever. So privilege of the floor is now open. Assuming you would like to speak at privilege of the floor.
You could bring her with you, but sorry, double time. She has something to say too.
We just asked that you state your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is Katie Howenstein. I live at 6 Dover Place, right over here off of Skyway. It's a small cul-de-sac that not many people know about because it's a dead-end street. I'm here to discuss an issue that I've had. We've had to call an ambulance service twice since I lived there for my father-in-law. We bought the house about almost 2 years ago. And every time we call for emergency services, we're having the issue of them going to the condos. And it's delaying their services by 10 to 15 minutes until they're able to figure it out because they're going into apartment 6. They're trying to figure out where the issue is. On the first occasion, my father-in-law was in septic shock. On the second occasion, he was having a stroke. The first occasion, we were new to the area. We knew that it could have been a possible mistake, so we were very clear. The second time we called, we were very specific. Single-family home, not the condos. You have to go down Skyway in a cul-de-sac. My husband was very, very specific, and they still have went to the wrong place and delayed emergency services. I've reached out to the fire chief at Thomas Corners. He implied that it was something probably from the dispatch end. So I then reached out to the dispatch office. I talked to a couple different supervisors over there, and they said they would put a note, but there's no guarantee that they're gonna go to the right place next time. So I'm very concerned. As you can see, I have a 1.5-year-old child. We're the youngest couple in my cul-de-sac. A lot of the people around me are older. It's likely potential that in the near future that something will have to be called at some point for one reason or another. And I'm very concerned with the fact that the emergency services are not reaching us in time. One of the big buying points, we decided to start our family in Glenville. The Thomas Corners was close, the ambulance service was close. Those were all factors in deciding on where to buy our home. And the fact that, it's been delayed significantly. They don't quite understand where to go, and I don't know. I did speak with Mr. Ketzel on the phone today about it. I did call the building department last week. I need some kind of a solution. I'm scared that if something happens to my daughter, 10 or 15 minutes can be precious, life-saving time that we're missing out on. So him and I both proposed, proposed a couple possible solutions that we could do. One was maybe have a conversation with Bordeaux Builders, because the issue is they're both called Dover Place. The condos are called Dover Place, the cul-de-sac is called Dover Place. There's no differentiation. The address is different, but when the ambulance services hear Dover Place over the phone, that's where they go. The condos were built in 2010. Our house was built in 2005, so there's a 5-year difference in time as to as to when they were built. And the problem is the intersecting street is also Skyway. So that's usually an indicator to kind of help relieve some of this confusion when there's two streets within the same town, but because they're both next to the same intersecting street, I don't see how we can solve this problem. I think it's crazy that there's two things called Dover Place that are directly next to each other and share an intersecting street, and I'm not sure what we can do, but as a new resident of Glenville, I'd like to reach out to the board for some assistance, some support, some guidance, some help, anything that you can provide to kind of help me ensure that in case of emergency, I can help my family.
Thank you. I know I spoke with Councilwoman Rosbowski about this, and I think she has some news about a conversation she had with dispatch.
So I'm the liaison to emergency services in the town, and I did also speak with Chief Green at Thomas Corners, and he was going to be reaching out to dispatch as well. I also emailed and spoke with Kevin Spawn, who is the director of the UCC, with regard to this issue. According to him, from what I understand, the pad has been changed, the dispatch system has been changed to reflect 73 Saratoga Road and differentiate between that and Dover Place. So
wouldn't
For
come
the
up, you're
condos,
saying?
yes, like
Okay.
it wouldn't come up. Chief Green also assured me that he was going to make sure his responders made sure they knew where they were going, because when they're dispatched, they should be, even if they saved over place, they are provided a street address of 73 Saratoga Road.
Right.
So that's what should be happening, no matter what. So, I'm a paramedic by trade, so I completely understand your concerns, and as soon as I had heard about this issue, I did reach out because I understand completely your concerns, that the other neighbors, so I will circle back with the UCC director and make sure that it's been resolved in the CAD so that, we can get you, your father-in-law or whoever might need help as quickly as possible. It's nothing worse than being a responder and going to the wrong address and having that sinking feeling of, oh my God, where am I supposed to go now? So I've been in that situation, and
Yeah.
it's frustrating to the responders as well when they don't go to the right
Well,
house.
we can see them through the trees, like we can see all the lights, like if it's nighttime, you know what I mean? My husband, the first time, had to run out to Route 50 with a flashlight and flag them down, and then they had to follow him running back to the house. Is there any way someone can reach out to me when you do find out some
Does the
information?
supervisor have your contact information?
Do you still have my contact? Yes.
All right, I will let you know.
I would appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard or privilege of the floor? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Closed. We do not have the supervisor's comments to the board tonight, so we'll skip over item number 7. And we're ready to resolution, item 8, resolution authorizing the funding of improvements to Menlo Park. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Just to start the conversation, this is the resolution that authorizes the funding of the improvements to Menlo Park. We will be taking up the resolution regarding the serial bond in item number 9, which includes all of the bonding together for a total of $955,000. But this is only authorizing the $580,000 for Menlo Park. And as you can see, this resolution talks about the importance of the priority that the park system has had over the recent years for this administration, residents, and our visitors. Some of the improvements to our park system included creating the Anderson Park, replacing the entrance road, and paving the parking areas at Indian Meadows, construction of a second entrance and new playing fields at Menlo Park. And the Park Planning Commission has identified the continued enhancements to Menlo Park as a priority among its list of recommended town park system improvements. And the town board concurs with these recommendations through work session that was expressed, and is committed to expanding upon the recent infrastructure improvements at Menlo Park. So this resolution would authorize the expenditure of $580,000 to include numerous improvements such as installation of water and sewer services, construction of permanent pavilion with restrooms and concession stand, and the construction of a playground area. This also includes site preparation, site planning, and engineering fees as well. So that is the resolution for a issuance of a bond anticipation note in the amount of $580,000. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I would just like to take a minute to thank Vicki Hillis for all of her hard work on this. She kind of came into this project in the middle towards tail end. There's been a lot of other things that had to happen for us to get to this point, and it's probably a lot of moving pieces to coordinate, and just think that maybe you deserve recognition and thanks for pulling this all together. We've been talking about this since I got on the board 9 years ago, so thank you very much for all your hard work.
Anything else?
If I could just echo those sentiments, thank you to Vicki, thank you to Jamie McFarland for the work that he put in, Vicki's predecessor, to the Park Planning Commission. I think this is a fantastic project. I think investing money in our parks is something that will have a lasting impact on our community. All the rage right now is riverfront, and we are fortunate to have this terrific asset right on the Mohawk, and I can't wait to see the completed project. I will be fully supporting this resolution and the resolution to follow.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I'll just say that as a parent from this town who raised 3 kids, I spent a lot of time on those fields when it wasn't a nice pavilion with bathrooms, and it's going to be a real asset for a lot
going forward.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My kids were too old to be around when that part was pumping.
That's true.
It's funny, I have the rare distinction of having my kids in Highland soccer, starting in Highland soccer and ending in the Burn Hills program, and now they're unified. So I like to say Ketzley's a unifier. Brought everyone together. Wish that could have happened, but it was in both programs, so. So we're very excited about this. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Gottlieb?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kessler?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 9, authorizing the issuance of the $955,000 in serial bonds to finance the purchase of one street sweeper, one roadside mower, and those infrastructure improvements that Melwood Park we just talked about. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? This, as I said, is the bond. It's actually a ban, to be precise, 5-year ban. We don't have an interest rate yet on it. Obviously, we have to go out with it once it's approved to go out. The interest rates are fairly low still for us. We have a great, I would say very good bond rating, AA3, which is it's considered high grade. So we're probably anticipating about 2% for the 5-year ban. This will include, as I mentioned, what we'd like to do is package everything together because then we save on costs. So we'll package the street sweeper, the roadside mower, and all those improvements together. I just want to point out, because someone might say, well, it's almost $1 million in new borrowing, and that's true. But even with this added $1 million, we will still be reducing our overall debt in 2019 by $816,000 net. So the trend of cutting our obligations of debt is still continuing, even as we bring on a new project here or there. The last major one was the water meters, I believe, and now this. But we're still seeing the trend of reduced debt for the town overall, even with this. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Gottlieb?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kessler?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 10, adopting that local law number 1 of 2019 to amend chapter 255 of the codes in the town of Glenville, vehicle and traffic code. Do we have a motion?
I'll move that.
A second.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, as stated, this is a resolution to establish a local law to amend the code of the town of Glenville, local law number 1 in 2019 for chapter 255, vehicle traffic law. And as I stated earlier, it's for a stop sign on Rosemary Drive at Bigwood, a stop sign on Yolanda Drive at Nichols Drive, and a yield sign on Valina Drive at Nichols Drive.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Gottlieb?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kessler?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 11, approving the monthly department reports for January 2019. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, as stated, this would approve the monthly reports for January 2019. The Assessor's Department, Economic Development Planning, Justice, Police Department, Receiver of Taxes, and Town Clerk's Office. We received the reports in our emails, and at this point, we've all had a chance to review them. And I thank them for preparing the reports.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Gottlieb?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kessler?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 12, approving the town board minutes for February 6, 2019. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
A second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this is approved the minutes from our last meeting, February 6, 2019 meeting. I would thank Ms. Nielsen and staff for preparing them.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't at the meeting.
Councilman Goddowski.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley.
Yes, resolution passes. Last item on the agenda is new business. I'll start on my right with Councilman Pirovani. Any new business?
I have no new business.
Councilman Aragosa.
I also have.
Councilman Galuski. No new business. Councilman Wozzachowski.
I will continue the trend of moving.
Excellent. I have no new business. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it.
Second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Adjourned.